Welcome to episode 3 of the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. My name is Jacqueline Salem. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as @JacquelineSalem. I am a graphic designer living in Brooklyn, New York City, who decided to make a podcast about my crafty endeavors in sewing and knitting and cat hoarding. Not really, I have two, but this is one of them. This is Mika. Hi, Mika. Yeah, okay, she's not entertained. Yeah, sorry. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as @JacquelineSalem. I think I already said that, but just to reiterate. I also have a website for my graphic design portfolio, which is www.jacquelinesalem.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are a new viewer who is just checking me out, thank you so much for watching. And if you are a returning viewer and coming back to see more of my craft shenanigans, thank you so much for coming back and deciding to spend a little bit of your time with me. I wanted to do a quick shout out / thank you to Katrina from the YarnThirty podcast, Jenny from the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast, and Mina from the Knitting Expat podcast. You three ladies have mentioned me on your previous podcasts, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for your support and for getting the word out about what I'm doing. It means a lot to me. Also, thank you again so much to anybody who sends me messages on Instagram or Ravelry. I'm just floored by the kindness that this community exhibits on a day-to-day basis. It's just such a supportive and welcoming environment. I could not be happier that I'm joining this community of makers. So, show notes. Wanted to mention that really quick too. All the show notes. I don't have a group on Ravelry for the podcast. Right now I feel it's kind of unnecessary and I'm not sure what I would do with it yet, so I haven't made one on Ravelry. But show notes will always be posted on the down bar below where you have all of the information about what the YouTube video, I guess. So yeah, and right above the comment section. You know what I'm talking about. You guys know how to use YouTube. Anyway, the show notes will all be posted there and have been for the previous 2 episodes, but I just didn't mention it until now. So let's jump right into it, shall we? I guess I'll start with finished objects, and I guess I should say finished object because there's only one, although one of them is very close. But my finished object is this little VW Volkswagen ornament. So if you are not aware, Molly from Homespun House did a Yuletide Joy holiday swap, and as part of the swap we were to make a handmade ornament. I don't know why, but for some reason I've really been getting into felt ornaments lately, so I decided that this would be the perfect thing to make. I saw a few examples of it on sorry, my camera's just doing something weird. Okay, I guess it's okay. Anyway, I saw a few examples of some felt ornaments online and on Pinterest. I use Pinterest for a lot of inspiration gathering, and I absolutely loved this one that I saw that was similar to this but not a Christmas theme. It was just kind of a regular Volkswagen Bus ornament. And I went out and bought some felt to make my own. And this is not the one I sent in the swap. The one I sent in the swap is already gone, sent in the swap. But I had to make another one for myself. So I cut out 2 main body parts of the car. Sorry, there's probably some cat hairs on this. 2 main body parts of the car in the white. Use some red felt to kind of cut out this little detail that's on the bus, and then little circles in both gray and white for the headlights. The traditional logo mark. Windows with some wipers, and then to make it more Christmas themed I got these little wreaths from Michael's. Originally I wanted to get some of those little trees that are like this and put it on the top. You know how people attach their Christmas trees to the top of their cars, but they were sold out, so the wreaths it was. I'm not sad about it though. I think it turned out really cute. I really love it. Obviously I had to make another one for myself, that's how much I loved it. So this will be going on mine and my roommate's little mini Christmas tree that we have in our apartment. And when I say mini, I mean mini. It's literally like that tall. Very little. It's also electric blue. It's my roommate's. It's really gaudy and tacky, but in a cute, kitschy sort of way. So, yeah. That's where this is gonna go. My second would-be finished object is the Guernsey Wrap. So as you guys would know if you've watched my previous episodes, I've been working on the Guernsey Wrap. It's the pattern by Jared Flood of Brooklyn Tweed, and it's going to be a Christmas present for my sister. So this thing has taken a lot longer than I've anticipated. Lovely pattern, but it has been taking forever to get this done. I've gone through 4 balls of yarn for it so far, and I've had to order more. So I say that this is a work in progress, but it would be a finished object if I had had the yarn to make for it. And this is it so far. So I ran out of yarn for it, but it is the Quince & Co. Lark base, which is their worsted weight yarn. It's 100% American wool. It's a 4-ply yarn, so the stitch definition on this is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Sorry, I'm trying to show this as much as possible. It might be weird, might not be seeing anything. Stitch definition is amazing. 4-ply yarn, super affordable. I think it's like $7.50 or $8 for one 50 gram ball. Kumlien's Gull colorway is this kind of gray. The stitch marker is where I was last time I showed you, but I've knit all of this now, and it's an okay length. I'll kind of show it to you if I can back out enough. So once it's blocked, I think it will be okay and even longer. Sorry, you're probably not going to be able to see a whole lot of this because I'm too close, but I think it could use one more skein of yarn, and the pattern anyway, I still calls for one more, like 1 1/4 repeats of the chart C that I'm on right now. So there's still more that I should be doing on it. And so I've ordered another skein from Quince & Co. and hopefully I did the expedited 2-day shipping. So hopefully it will be here soon so I can finish that up in time for my sister's Christmas present. Other things I want to say about it. Stitch definition I talked about. The pattern, again, really lovely. The tools though. This is really an example of when the tools can make or break the project. They're knit on size 8. Sorry, my cats are like running around, so if you can hear all this noise in the background, I apologize. Let me get her really quick. One second. Okay. So, it's knit on size 8. Sorry, I can't remember the millimeter of that off the top of my head, but size US 8 needles, and they're a boy brand. It's a circular needle, which isn't necessary. You could do it on the straights. But the cable on this is just like so stiff and inflexible. Like where I move this, the whole thing has to come with it. The cable is just not flexible at all. And I just feel like this is definitely one of those examples of when having a better tools, like my favorites, the Addy Turbo Sock, or Turbo Lace, sorry, or the Hiya Hiyas. Those are my 2 favorite needles that I usually, go between, and these boys were just what I had lying around for the right size that I needed for this project. And it's been awful. I should have just gone to get more needles because I feel like been taking forever because I just hate the needles so much, so I haven't been like gravitating toward wanting to work on it. Also, I've been doing a lot of gift knitting. I'd say since I've started knitting, I've done at least 50%, if not more, knitting for other people than for myself. So, the tools. The second thing is a qualm with the pattern. Let me see. It is a paid for pattern, so I don't think I'm going to be giving away too much, honestly, by saying this, but let me just show you a picture of this legend here. So we have oh, that's showing up backwards, but you get the idea. There's a right side and a wrong side, and a signifier symbol for each. And there's only knits and purls, there's only right side and wrong side. What I don't understand, and maybe I'm just missing something here, is why can't the pattern be standardized like this? It's different for every the wrong side and the right side, and the knits and the purls are a different symbol, so it's 4 different symbols when I just don't understand why it couldn't just be 2. Like, why can't the symbol, the clear symbol, be knit and the line symbol be purl. Standardized the whole way, because it's caused me to make some mistakes when looking, you know, and having to think back when looking at the pattern, because I can't remember if it's wrong side or right side. Like, why can't all the wrong sides be, you know, the darker color and the right side be the white color? So I just don't get it. And I was talking to Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes last weekend about this at the Magpie Fibres trunk show. And apparently this is kind of just how Brooklyn Tweed does their patterns. But from a design perspective, I don't understand why they can't standardize one or the other, because it would cut down on confusion and having to like think through, like, okay, is this the wrong side, purl side, or the right side, knit side? Like, it's just really confusing to me, and I don't know why they do that. So those are two qualms that I have with the Guernsey Wrap. Other than that, I think it is, again, an absolutely gorgeous pattern. I cannot wait to block this out. I think it's extremely wearable. I think it's definitely a unisex pattern if you wanted to make it for a guy or girl. I haven't woven in any ends yet because I'm still waiting to get that other skein and finish it up before I do that. But yeah, it's a great pattern. I'm excited to get it done. I think she's gonna love it. There are just a few things that I don't love about it. And I've said this up before in a previous episode, but this is technically a wrap, and I have taken out one of the repeats across of, you know, each row. There's a 12 stitch repeat that you do, and I've taken out one of them to make it a little bit thin, like not as wide, because I think this will be fine, a fine width for a scarf. So yeah, I think she's gonna love it. The yarn is incredibly squishy. Very soft, just, yeah, very, very squishy. I highly recommend trying Quince & Co yarn. Like I said, extremely affordable and has tons of colors you can use. The quality is really fantastic too, so well done to Pam and the Quince & Co family. So that's the Guernsey Wrap. Again, all of this information will be in the show notes in case you miss any of it or want to kind of go back and see and make things for yourself. So my second work in progress, as you know, if you've seen previous episodes, again, I should stop assuming that people have watched it, is the Doodler by Stephen West. So if somehow you've managed to avoid seeing spoilers, then I guess you can look away, but I'm on clue 3 now, not very far into it. Get this unwrapped here. And unstabbed. I'm knitting the Doodler on size 4, 3.5 millimeter Hiya Hiyas, fixed circulars. And I can't really stretch it out too much because it'll fall off, but okay, anyway. So, first clue, sorry, just nervous it's gonna fall some stitches off. Okay, so the first clue was these wedges here, which I love the first clue. Color A is Monarch by Hedgehog Fibres, their skinny singles base, which is this main color right here. Color B, ignoring this one because this is, as I've already said, a design feature when I decided to change colors multiple times until I found what I liked best. Color B is Neon Peach by Madeline Tosh. It is very highlightery. It's as bright as it probably looks on the screen right now. And Kitty is going crazy with yarns. Mika, girl, you're gonna have to calm down. And color C, I've decided, I went to a Plucky knitter trunk show a few weeks ago, and I got 2 skeins, one of which is the Primo fingering base, which is a mixture of 75% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 5% nylon, and this is the Flying Atlas colorway. Very, very soft. Plucky knitter is everything and more that people talk about, and if you have a chance to knit with it, I highly, highly recommend it. I know I've already said this about Quince & Co too, and so I'm like raving about everything, but seriously, Quince & Co and the Plucky knitter. The yarns are just so wonderfully tonal. It's kind of this slate blue. Oh, it's just lovely. Yeah, really tonal and gorgeous. So that's what I'm using for my color C. And I'm sure you've probably by now seen many pictures of how it's going to look, but it sort of follows the wave of the edge on the first clue. I wasn't so sure about this project when knitting the second clue, which was this long big cable here. I didn't really like the style of the cable. Personally, I think I would have preferred it. I like the width of this, but if it was like this plus a smaller cable that flowed through it instead of one giant one, I think I would have liked that better aesthetically. But after seeing finished ones with the color C, the color C, the third clue, I decided to keep going because I liked the finished object. But let me tell you, these rows are long. I'm at like 400 stitches right now on one row, and apparently they get to be like 500 or so over. So it's not the most exciting knit, I have to say, which is why I've kind of like lost some steam on it. That, and I kind of wanted to finish my sister's Guernsey Wrap first because it's a Christmas present. So I'm sure I'll pick that back up again to finish that and get that done. But the rows are incredibly long. They take me quite a bit of time to get through one, so I think there's an option to do, the edges are kind of done in wedges as well, and I'm still working on wedge one, and I think there's an option to do either 3 or 4, so I probably will do just the 3 and not the 4. But I love how the color combination is looking. I think that the Flying Atlas Plucky knitter really picks up the darker colors that are in flecked and speckled within Monarch, and then Monarch also has these flecks of orangey pinks, so that's where the neon peach kind of comes in. I have a lot of the neon peach left over from color B, so I'd like to take what I have left of this and do like a large stripe, like maybe I'll do an entire wedge in the neon peach. Unfortunately, I do not have enough of the Monarch color A excuse me, left to do a wedge with that, but we'll see. I don't know. Don't think I want to attempt yarn chicken with that. So yeah, that's the Doodler. I'm excited about that. This will probably be my plain knitting when coming home for Christmas to visit my family in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I'm from. That's the Doodler. The next thing I want to show you, I haven't made a ton of progress on it. I showed it on my first episode, but I didn't show it on my last one because it's just kind of like my side fun project that I like to work on. Sorry, cat's getting into more yarn. Mika, have to have a little talk. Alright. My other cat, it's weird. My other cat, Jafar, he honestly could not care less about, you know, stray yarns happening, but if she sees it out, she won't mess with it if it's sitting in a bag or sitting unattended. But if I'm like playing around with it or actively knitting on something, she loves to help. Anyway, so third work in progress is the Syrma Shawl, which I mentioned in my first episode. I'm going to butcher her name. It's a French pattern designer. Her name is Calo Beranger. I know I'm not saying that right, but I'll put it in the show notes in the down bar below. So I've made a little bit more progress, just a few rows. The little flamingo stitch marker that I made is where I was last time. This is knit on size 5 Hiya Hiyas. It calls for size 4, but I tend to knit slightly tightly, so I went up a needle size because it's a shawl. I figured it could stand it. Not like a garment, so it's not going to be loosey or loosey-goosey. But it's the Voolenvine's Gashlycrumb colorway. I'll show you the cake. And it's kind of this mauvey browns color with flecks of this kind of navy and chartreuse. And it's just so fun whenever you get to those little bits of navy and chartreuse. Little pops of fun. Normally I am not a variegated yarns person. It's just not my style. But I don't know, for some reason, I think just the softness of the yarn, and I swatched for this pattern in 3 different swatches before picking it. And the Gashlycrumb was not the one that I thought I was going to use, but somehow when I swatched it, it just felt right. And so I really like it. I don't get a chance to work on this really, really often. So because I have other, you know, whips going that I like to, you know, devote my attention to. So this is just kind of like my side project whenever I don't want to work on the things that I need to get done or have, you know, been working more actively on. I tend to have one main project, like one big thing that I devote all of my time to. And then I'm finding about 2 or 3 extra projects that I like kind of keep in circle and queue and work on when I just can't look at the main #1 focus project anymore. So this is kind of one of those that's keeps in queue. It's a pretty sizable shawl, the finished one is. It's kind of hard to see right now because it's like a stockinette body, but you start getting into these little raining stars. It's kind of difficult to see them. I'll try to insert a picture here, but it has this kind of raining stars pattern that it flows into, and the bottom of it is really intricate. So far it's been an enjoyable knit, but it's definitely one of those you have to pay close attention to. It's not charted, it's all words, written out words. And it is a paid for pattern, but yeah, I'm liking it, but you definitely have to pay attention to it. You have to, it's a lot of counting. And I'm sort of new too, that sometimes I don't notice patterns that are that would be obvious to other people until I get like halfway through it. I'm like, oh, that's what's been happening this entire time, and I only just now figured it out. But you live and you learn. That's how it is, you know. I'm a newbie. Said it before. Say it again. So yeah, the Syrma Shawl, Voolenvine yarns in her Gashlycrumb colorway, on size 5, Hiya Hiyas. Syrma Shawl. This is a bag by Cat's Kettle that she made for me. The other ones that I've shown. This is the easy drawstring bag by Pearl Soho that I made. I showed it in a last episode. It's a really simple drawstring project bag if you want to make some for yourself. My last work in progress. So I've made, I showed on the last podcast, some simple house slippers by Temple of Knit. It's a free pattern, super easy to make. Like I can make these probably in about 6 or 7 hours, the pair. And after making some for or tried to make some for myself, but they turned out too large, I decided to give them to my mom. I'm a size 8.5, and my mom's a size 10, so they fit her a little bit better. But while I was knitting them, my dad was really interested in. He's like, you know, like, oh, what are you making? Is it 100% wool? You know, he's very interested in like the construction of things and how things are made and fit together and like quality and things like that. He's great. So he expressed so much interest. I asked him, and I was like, well, would you want a pair for yourself? Like, I could make you some. And he's like, yeah, I think I would wear them. And I got really excited because my dad just didn't seem like the kind of person who would enjoy hand knits. So when he said it, I was like, okay, Christmas present on the go. So I bought some, find the little tag so I can read it. It's Plymouth Galway worsted. It's 100% wool. And the color says it's 705, but it's a navy. So that's the yarn. And I've started the first slipper. So like I said, free pattern on Ravelry. It is, you cast on 40 stitches and knit flat for 32 rows of garter stitch. So that's the first part about it. And then you join it to work it in the round. The top part, yeah. You join it and work it in the round for about as long as your foot is. The pattern says to work the pattern in the round, which is just knits, work it in the round until you get to about 1 inch away from your big toe, and then you start the decreases. However, that's what I did with the first slippers that I made, and they ended up too big for me. I'm also knitting these on size 7, and it says you can knit with size 6 or 7. But I still think that a 6 would be too big, and I'm even a tight knitter. Maybe it's just because I expect my slippers to fit a little bit more snugly, like kind of the way socks would fit, but I mean, I don't know. The yarn is already worsted weight, so they're already going to be kind of chunky and thick anyway, so for my dad, I'm sticking to the size 7 and knitting the pattern as it calls for, but instead of starting the decreases at 1 inch before the big toe, I'm going to start it at 2 inches before the big toe, because I think they'll fit a little bit fit a little bit better that way. Now making them for myself, so like I said, I'm an 8.5 shoe size. I think I'm going to go down to a size 5 whenever I finally make a pair for myself and cast on the same amount of stitches, but do a size 5 needle and then knit again to just 2 inches before my toe before I start the decrease instead of 1 inch. That way I think they'll fit a little bit more snugly. But yeah, they're really cute, simple, as the name would suggest, simple house slipper. So yeah, they're really squishy and comfortable. The yarn is, I mean, it's not the best. It's, like I said, a Plymouth worsted Galway. It's not the worst, it's just like, it's not a plucky knitter, you know, anything like that, but it gets the job done. It is 100% wool, so they'll be warm. They won't be able to wash them in the washing machine unless they want them to get felted, which I told them if that's what they want, that's fine too, but definitely don't put them in the dryer. So my mom said that she'll just plan on hand washing hers. So I'll tell my dad the same. He can do what he will. But yeah, the yarn is a little bit splitty when knitting with it, so I kind of have to pay attention when I'm knitting it. I mean, obviously not like, you know, a complicated pattern necessarily, but just to make sure that I don't accidentally add stitches by knitting twice into the same stitch. But there's that again. I think he'll like the color. I was debating between brown, like a dark brown, oatmeal or navy, and I saw this and I was like, that'll be nice. There's like a soft halo to it too, and it's quite fuzzy and soft, like squishy. So yeah, that's the Simple House Slipper by Temple of Knit, and the pattern is on templeofknit.com if you're interested in checking that out. So the next thing I want to talk about, those are all of my works in progress, but I would like your guys' suggestions and help. So I bought this skein of yarn. It's Tosh Merino worsted. It's a vintage colorway, the Optic. I bought this at the New York City yarn crawl. It's sort of like a creamy white color with flecks of navy, black, and then some little pops of brown, which you can see there. It's really gorgeous. It's one of my favorite skeins that I've ever bought. I know I want to make a hat out of it, but I just don't know. I don't know which one. So I'm hoping you guys have suggestions that you can maybe leave me like your favorite hat patterns. Right now I'm thinking of doing the Roku hat by Olga. She designs for Brooklyn Tweed a lot, but she's Olga Jazzy Knits on Instagram, but I don't remember her Ravelry name. But she has a hat called the Roku hat that I was thinking about making with this. I don't think just the way that the speckles are in this that anything like too intricate would be to the credit of the yarn. Like I think it would just get any kind of like cabling or really intricate pattern I think would get lost with these speckles, and I really want the yarn to shine. So if you guys have suggestions for your favorite hat patterns that you've made for a worsted weight yarn, I would be happy to have them. Like I tend to like a little bit of slouchier, like a longer hat, nothing too like tightly fitted, not like super beanie. So that's kind of more my style. I'll probably put a pom-pom on it too, because that apparently seems to be the trend of the season. But yeah, so if you guys have suggestions for hat patterns that you love that I could make with this, I would love to hear them. You could leave them in the comments below, or you could go to my Instagram page and comment on the Instagram post about this episode. So that's that. Upcoming projects that are coming down the lane. I am excited to cast on another shawl after I finish the Doodler, and I'm debating between Exploration Station by Stephen West, another Stephen West pattern, or a shawl called, I think, Raven's Nest? Yeah, Raven's Nest by Judy Marples. I've seen Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast. I've seen hers and I really love how it looks. So I went to look up what the pattern was when I saw her wearing it one day, which was kind of weird. Sorry, Kristen, if that's creepy, but I stalked her Ravelry page until I found it, and it's called Raven's Nest by Judy Marples. I'm going to put 2 pictures of them up here side by side. I can't decide which one to cast on first. I think I'm leaning towards the Raven's Nest because it's a little bit shorter of a project. So it'll be a quicker knit more instantaneous satisfaction than the Exploration Station, which is quite a large shawl and also calls for 4 different colorways, so I don't have to buy as much right now since I'm spending a lot of money on Christmas presents and flight tickets and all that right now. So I think I'm leaning towards Raven's Nest, but those are 2 projects that are going to be coming up here for me pretty soon, maybe after the holiday season. Also, Danny from Little Bobbins Knits, she's having a Christmas Eve cast on. Little Bobbins Knits, I'm sure you've heard of it, but if you haven't, it's a wonderful podcast. You should check her out. She's just such a calm, warm presence. She just feels like a friend just talking to her or listening to her talk, and I love her podcast. I never miss it. It's one of my favorite ones. But she does a Christmas Eve cast on where you cast on a pair of socks on Christmas Eve, and so I think I'm going to partake in that as well. I haven't selected the yarn or a pattern, but I'm kind of debating between Flying North Socks by Maria Manska of Stitched in Sweden, and there was one other pattern. Oh, the Blueberry Waffle socks, which tons of people have made. You've probably seen that sock pattern floating around as well. So those are the 2 patterns that I'm debating between. I also need to buy yarn for those. I think knitting socks is on my kind of knitting goals for next year, which I'm probably going to talk about in more depth in the next episode. But yeah, so something I want to touch on really quick. I mentioned it earlier in this episode when I was showing the holiday ornament that I made for the swap that I did, but it's Molly from A Homespun House had the Yule Toy Joy holiday swap, and I just wanted to show really quickly what I got. All of the food stuff is gone because I couldn't help myself. I love peppermint bark, it's delicious, and she also sent these bittersweet chocolate cookies, and dark chocolate is my favorite kind of chocolate, so those are gone. Nowhere to be speaking of again. But my partner also sent me this wonderful mug filled with minis. Minis were part of what we had to swap. So I get to try all of these lovely different yarns. Some of them are so nice, like cashmere blends, and yeah, look at those. Man, these are some big minis too. Call this a mini? That's so much. But yeah, these are great. I haven't started a sock yarn blanket yet, but I have plans to. I just love the concept of a cozy memories blanket with things that I've made before. She also sent me some tea. It's this Good Earth Organic Sweet and Spicy Herbal Tea, which I cannot wait to try. I love tea. My favorite tea is the blueberry, berry blossom white Tazo tea. I love blueberry flavored teas and also Earl Grey, but blueberry tea is my favorite kind of tea. I love how tea is basically the currency of knitters. It's like whenever you see a knitter or, meet up with some a podcast or something, you always bring them tea. That just seems to be the currency of knitters, which I really like. Okay, so 2 more things that I really want to do on this episode. I am a super nosy person, and I love those videos that are what's in my bag? So I thought it'd be really fun to show, what's in my knitting bag or what's in my notions bag, because I just think it's neat to see what other people use in theirs. And so I have kind of an example here of my typical projects. So of course I have the bag. This is, I've already mentioned, the Pearl Soho Easy Drawstring bag that I made myself out of this awesome Gashlycrumb print fabric. Love it. So I have the project bag. I always print out my patterns. I'm a paper and pen girl all the way. I draw all over, mark off where I've done, what I've done. I just like having it printed out so I can see it. I tried doing it on my phone once, and I feel like I make more mistakes that way, so I'm more of a pen and paper kind of girl. And then of course, the tools, the actual needles themselves, which are in the project, this example in the Guernsey Wrap. And I'll always have 1 ball of yarn in the bag. Unless I'm about to run out of it, then I'll go ahead and put a second one in. Now for my notions pouch, I got this as a wedding favor to a wedding, obviously, that I went to recently with a friend. It's this brown tan suede, and it fits my objects perfectly. I carry both fixed and removable stitch markers. crochet hook, and it's double-ended, so one side has the larger hook and the other has the finer hook. A cable needle, just in case. I have 3 of them. This is the one I was using on the Doodler. Tapestry needle. It's for weaving in ends on the go. Safety pin, you never know. And then finally, my little stork scissors. These are my knitting bag scissors that I keep in there. I got these as a Christmas present from my sister, but I've seen them floating around the internet, so I'm sure you can easily just search gold stork scissors and find these if you're interested. Yeah, I love those. So that's what I keep in my little notions pouch. I'll put that away later. The other 2 things I always have in a project bag and always floating around the bottom, not in every single one. Like I said earlier, I kind of work on one main project, so I'll keep these things in the main project bag. But I have a little thing of hand sanitizer. I got this from Bath & Body Works. It's one of my favorite scents called Eucalyptus Spearmint. Just in case, you know, I'm working on a project on the go and I have dirty hands and no access to like a bathroom to wash them or something before starting the knit, then I'll use some hand sanitizer. So I have that, and then also a little thing of lotion. This is from L'Occitane and the scent is Roses. I don't typically like really sweet smelling scents. I'm more interested in like these like fresher scents like the spearmint or eucalyptus, lavender, but for some reason this roses one works for me because it's kind of more of a woodsy rose scent and not a sweet rose scent, if that makes sense. It smells amazing, really good. L'Occitane is the brand. There. Yeah, this smells amazing. So hand sanitizer and lotion. And that's generally what I keep in my project bag. This kind of floats around to the main bag, like I just said. Yeah, so that's my notions pouch and what I carry in my bag. Let's see, what next? Oh, okay, so this is kind of like a random segment that I don't know if I'll do it every time, but just things I love to share, things that I love with other people because I love it when people expose me to things that they love for me to try. So if these things sound like things you would like, then you can too. Not necessarily relating to knitting. The 3 things I'm going to share today are not related to knitting at all. Just fun stuff to know. So if you have seen my Instagram feed, you will see that I also do a lot of drawing and sketches. And I have a favorite pen that I thought I would share with you. I've tried so many, like in the teens and 20s of different brands of pens. And my favorite one I've tried by far is this Faber-Castell artist pen. I use the size small or extra small usually in my drawings. They're just really great pens. You can't find these, at least not that I've ever seen, at, you know, like a Walgreens or a grocery store. You usually have to get them at an artist supply store, but they're similar to like a Micron pen, which is another kind of drawing and lettering pen. I just really like these. The way they release the ink, they last for a really long time. The color of the black, because there are different colors of black, which sounds strange, but I like this one. So yeah, Faber-Castell artist pen. Love these a lot. The second thing I want to talk about, this one's kind of a strange story that's attached to it, but as I mentioned earlier, I was knitting at Gauge and Tension with Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes last weekend at the Magpie Fibres Trunk Show. And I went to the bathroom while I was there, and I'm sure you've seen these Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day soaps before. All of the scents are really great. But the one in particular that Michelle has in the bathroom at Gauge and Tension, it's the rhubarb scent. This is not it. It's a red label. The rhubarb scent smells incredible. You guys have to try it. I've been looking everywhere for it in Brooklyn grocery stores with no luck. And I know it's a kind of a silly, stupid thing to be like, oh my gosh, you have to try this soap. But it smells so good. The rhubarb scent. I'm not sure if it's a holiday only release or not, but trust me, if you see it, smell it, love it, buy it. It's awesome. And that's Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day holiday soap. By the way, I'm not getting paid for any kind of endorsements for any of this. It's just stuff that I love and want to share with you. And finally, the last thing, okay, you guys. All right, so a little backstory. I am mostly vegetarian. I'm not like super strict about it, but mostly vegetarian. And in the month of August, for 30 days, I did a 30-day vegan challenge just for myself. Vegan is different from vegetarian in that you don't, in addition to not eating meat, you also don't eat animal byproducts. So dairy products like cheese, milk, and butter. So any kind of animal byproduct you would also not eat. And while I was doing this 30-day vegan challenge for myself, just to try it out, kind of forced me to look up new recipes and things I hadn't tried before. I came across this recipe that I'm about to share with you. It is one of the most incredible foods I've ever eaten, hands down. I make it at least once a week now. It's called the Spinach and Pea Pesto Pasta by Deliciously Ella. I will leave all of the links in the show notes, but oh my god, you guys have got to try it. It is one of the best foods, and it's so easy. I can make it in under 20 minutes. It is vegan, vegetarian obviously. It can be gluten-free if you make it with gluten-free pasta. So that covers, the majority of the major allergies that anybody would have. But aside from the fact that it's pretty good for you, it just tastes damn good, because it's amazing. Like I said, less than 20 minutes to make it. It is made with peas and spinach. I'm not a peas person. I love vegetables, but I don't like peas, and I really only like spinach if it's raw, like in a salad. So I typically substitute broccoli and mushrooms in my own, but you could easily use whatever vegetables you like the best. And the other recommendation I have for it is to use lemon to your taste. It calls for a lot of lemon. And then the oil, it uses like 2/3 of a cup of olive oil, which to me was way too much. Like I used 1/3 and it was still plenty. It was just fine for the recipe. So I would cut the olive oil in half, use lemon at your taste, and then whatever vegetables you like. But please try this. It is so good. After every time I make it, I'm just like texting my friends and like hounding them to make it. If you do make it, please comment on the episode thread or tag me in it on Instagram, whatever. I'd love to see what you think of it. Aside from the fact, like, yes, not all vegan recipes are good, I will admit this, but you can't even tell that it's vegan. You could of course put, cheese on top of it if you wanted to, and add meat if you want to, but it is a delicious recipe. Highly, highly recommend. And that's Deliciously Ella's Spinach and Pea Pesto Pasta. Woo, guys, I'm getting like really worked up about this recipe. I'm also kind of hungry because I haven't eaten anything yet today, but probably gonna make that for dinner tonight now that I've talked about it so much. But yeah, try it. It's amazing. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is knitting goals. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in my next episode, but I'm just curious about how you guys make your knitting goals. Do you like attempt to make things that you've never made before, or you want to make more of a certain thing that's lacking in your wardrobe, or try out different yarns? Like how and why do you decide what knitting goals to use? Because one of my friends asked me what I was planning on doing for next year, and I didn't really know. So I have some things in mind, and I want to think about that and relay it in the next episode for sure. But I'm just really curious about how you guys come up with your knitting goals for the year. Other than that, I think that is it. I'm about to go to Kristen's trunk show over at Gauge Intention. Voolenvine Yarns is having a trunk show this weekend over there, and I'm going to snap some stuff up, potentially to do a giveaway in an upcoming episode. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, thank you again so much for watching and for all of your kind messages. If you have any questions about anything that you see here, or just want to ask me anything, or leave any suggestions or comments, by all means, like comment below or on my Instagram on the episode post. Love to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a really great rest of your day. Bye!